One of you guys, man. And all praise be to the Most High God. The Most High God come first in all our lives. You know what I'm saying? I'm just showing you iconography. Obviously, the Most High God ain't this. But if y'all can see that iconography right there, I prefer that to the homosexual looking guy that they have. I don't have enough resources to get a different picture. But if it was a Jesus that I was gonna put on a cross, one, his hands would be over his head, and two, he'd be black. But that's another story for another day. Y'all ain't ready for that. And Jesus was Palestinian, by the way. All right, man, this stream, just in case those of you don't know, I am in Trinidad and Tobago. Our leadership is selling us out to the U.S. They're real idiots. But in the meantime, I just want to tell you where this stream is actually coming from. And also, this stream is brought to you by my sponsor is my own company. It's L.I.V.E products. You can see the array of products right there in front of you. We've got L.I.V.E snacks from nuts to granola to punches to drinks. That's the L.I.V.E brand right there. I'm in my kitchen, obviously. And if you live in the Trinidad and Tobago area, you can order these L.I.V.E products. You can message me or inbox me, or you can leave it in the comment section down below. All right. So we're about to talk boxing. And the first thing I got to talk to you guys about that happened yesterday, shocking news and very bad news, is that Ricky the Hitman Hatton, has died at the age of 47, I do believe, or 48. So he was 2 years or 3 years younger than me. This man accomplished so much in his life. At such an early age, they found him dead I think in a somewhat decomposed state in his house, in his home. We don't know what. They're trying to rule out foul play, but we don't know what really happened. And it's a tragedy. It's a big tragedy. This man was a living legend. This man was a fantastic boxer. He was a people's person. You know, Ricky Hatton never kept himself removed from the people. He's always working with the people, a humble guy, you know, relentless boxer. And what I would like to take time out to do right now is pay tribute to Ricky Hatton, who's definitely going into the International Boxing Hall of Fame if he hasn't already. He was one of the most dominant super lightweights to come on the scene. The torch was passed from Costa Zoo to him. He beat the lineal champion, IBF champion Costa Zoo. That's how he won his first championship, by beating the legend. And in a dominating fashion in which Costa Zoo could not continue to fight. He went on to beat a number of champions at super lightweight. Went up to welterweight and beat Louis Collazo, who was then the WBA champion, to become the WBA champion at welterweight. Went back down to super lightweight and dominated super lightweight, stopping Jose Luis Castillo, but also beating one of the great lightweights in Lascano. Was a good fight, though. It was a good fucking fight. Of course, Louis Collazo almost stopped him as well. So Louis Collazo, no joke. You know, this guy was a tough task for anybody. Shane Mosley, Andre Berto, they'll tell you Louis Collazo was a tip top champion. He deserved to be a champion. You know, even though he lost those fights. He's a great fighter. And after that, you know, after dominating at super lightweight, went up to welterweight again to try and retake a title, facing pound for pound the best fighter in the world, cash cow at the time, face of boxing, Floyd Mayweather, and gave Floyd the fits early on, knocked him across the ring with a leaping jab. Ricky Hatton had quick feet, quick hands, very aggressive. One of his most devastating weapons was the leaping left hook, but he threw all kinds of awkward shit, from leaping jabs to, you know, he'd maul you on the inside. He'd use his weight and his size to beat you down. You know, he'd land body shots. He was an inside fighter. Very grueling fight for Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather stepped up his game, started to gain some control on the inside of Ricky Hatton. wore him down some, and then finally stopped him in the 10th. Going into the 11th round, he stopped him. Mainly because he hit him with a check hook also into the turnbuckle, which also hurt Ricky Hatton a little bit more. But that was a hell of a fight, and Floyd said it himself. He said Ricky Hatton came to fight. Ricky Hatton after that loss bounced back. He beat Paulie Malignaggi. He beat Juan Lascanzo. That's the guy I'm talking about. It was a tough fight though for him. Juan Lascanzo almost knocked his ass out. Paulie Malignaggi got dominated by him, but he didn't get stopped. And then I think he went on to face Manny Pacquiao, the legendary Manny Pacquiao. Ricky Hatton having faced two legends in the sport. Manny Pacquiao coming down to super lightweight to fight Ricky Hatton. And Ricky Hatton, you could see his heart was in it to try and do the best he could. But he was no match for Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao piecing him up. The blueprint was out there. How Ricky Hatton did not protect his right side from a left hook. And so Manny Pacquiao was known for the left because he was a southpaw. And Ricky Hatton wasn't really familiar with southpaws, but he got destroyed by Manny Pacquiao. And that pretty much was the end of Ricky Hatton's career. He did go up to welterweight, fight one more fight, and got stopped again. He didn't get stopped, but he got stopped. And couldn't continue to fight, that is. And that was his career. But I'm going to tell you this man is going to go down in the Boxing Hall of Fame for two reasons. One, he fought two of the greatest fighters of all time in Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. Actually, he fought three legendary fighters, Costa Tszyu, Manny Pacquiao, and Floyd Mayweather. He was able to beat all-time great Costa Tszyu, legendary fighter. He stopped him. And then he got stopped by Floyd, and he got stopped by Pacquiao. These are the two. He's fought a number of Hall of Famers in his career, but I'm talking about legendary fighters like, all-time greats, Pacquiao and Mayweather. He fought them. And recently we saw him in a exhibition fight in which he fought a guy. He looked like his health was coming back and stuff. I don't know if he had health issues, what was going on with Ricky Hatton, but to hear that he died at 47, it's a tragedy. To me, he's gone too soon. It's sort of shocking for me. I don't know if he was ill. I don't know what was going on with him. So to hear this news really is somewhat shocking to me. I think a lot of people do not understand, because Floyd knocked out Ricky Hatton. They really feel that they underrate this guy's ability, the ability for him to close distance on you, the ability, the explosiveness that he had, the quickness that he had, and just the unorthodox nature of how he would throw punches and how he did things. He mostly mauled you on the inside, beat you down on the inside. There was method to his madness. And kind of like Pacquiao was kind of unorthodox himself, and there's some unorthodox things he did. Ricky Hatton was somewhat like that. And there was really nobody to compete with him because he was very, very quick, very, very fast. In the fight where Luis Collazo almost knocked him out in the later rounds, in the early rounds, Ricky Hatton knocked down Luis Collazo in the first round. He took him out. He knocked him down. But Collazo proved to be durable, and down the stretch, Collazo was getting the better of Ricky Hatton, which was very interesting. That was an interesting fight. Luis Collazo, always a dangerous fight for anybody. And so I got to say, and Luis Collazo was a bona fide welterweight, by the way. Floyd was not a bona fide welterweight. He came into the division. He grew into the division. And he gave Floyd a run for his money. I think one of the more exciting fights that Floyd Mayweather's had, when casuals would have enjoyed it, everybody would have enjoyed it. Marcos Maidana was another fight, the first one. Miguel Cotto was another very entertaining fight. Zab Judah, the very early parts of Zab Judah fight was very exciting as well. You could talk about a number of Floyd fights, but that's not what we're here for. We were here for Ricky Hatton and talking about Ricky Hatton and how great he was as a fighter. And I just want to pay tribute to that. You guys are going to see me again talking a little bit more about Crawford versus Canelo as the day goes along. I just wanted to introduce you to the L.I.V.E products that I have in my L.I.V.E product line. I also have cleaning products in the L.I.V.E product line. I don't have any stock in that right now. I just want to talk a little bit about Crawford and what he has accomplished and what does that mean. As some people say, they put him up on the Mount Rushmore of greatest boxers of all time. I would say in the modern boxing era, in the last 30 years, Terrence Crawford is there on the Mount Rushmore. You know, he may not have had as many big fight wins as Floyd Mayweather, but the big fight wins he's had are just exceptional. Like they go off the charts. You know, you think about, you know, him coming up in weight facing Errol Spence, just destroying everybody, and then he destroyed Errol Spence, and then he goes up, you know, effectively 3 weight classes because basically he was at welterweight the fight before he fought the super welterweight fight. He goes up like basically 3 weight classes, fights Canelo Alvarez, and dominates him. Okay, in a convincing, very straightforward win to become undisputed champion at 168. Do you know how crazy that is? You know how crazy that sounds? That's stuff that we heard Roberto Duran do. That's stuff that we heard Vinny Pazienza do. That's stuff that we heard guys like Henry Armstrong do. That's the kind of crazy shit he did, you know. And Pacquiao never did something like that. Pacquiao never just jumped up 3 weight classes and fought anybody. You know, he jumped up 2 weight classes. Shane Mosley jumped up 2. And I know Crawford had 1 fight at 154. I know, but basically Crawford jumped up 3. If you think about it, right? And you know, it's just insane what he did. And the quality of opponent he fought. He fought basically pound for pound a top 5 fighter. Pound for pound, Canelo Alvarez was the face of boxing, and he was the cash cow of boxing, and he was the top 5 pound for pound fighters in the world. And nothing that he knew. I know he knew he just recently beat MJ, Magdaliev, right? I know he just beat him last night and he won a decision over him, and he's undisputed again. But the difference between what Naoya Inoue has done and what Terrence Crawford has done, when Terrence Crawford beat Errol Spence was a pound for pound fighter. That was one of the biggest fights in boxing. Okay. Errol Spence was a dominant welterweight champion. He now jumps up 2 divisions. Now, when Crawford beat, you know, what's his name? When he beat those guys at super lightweight and made them look easy, you know what I'm saying? RJ Jenkins, what's up, my brother? Shout out to RJ Jenkins in this building. Yeah. When Crawford beat the super lightweight guys and collected the belts to become, you know, super lightweight undisputed champion, he fought some really good fighters, right? But they weren't on the caliber of Errol Spence. They weren't on the caliber of Canelo Alvarez, and not to diminish them in any way, shape, or form in terms of their abilities and skills, but the kind of resume, the kind of cachet, the kind of esteem that the boxing world saw these fighters at was nowhere near the cachet of Errol Spence, and now nowhere near the cachet of Canelo Alvarez. Okay, so you have to understand something. Floyd got those opportunities to fight the cachet fighters, the big fighters, you know, especially after Oscar De La Hoya win. You know, because he couldn't get the big names, but after the Oscar De La Hoya win, you know, that opened the door, because he's the cash cow now, to fight the biggest and best fights. And so, you know, Mayweather beat, you know, Pacquiao, you know, fucking Pacquiao, Cotto, you know, fucking Canelo. Right? But Canelo was, you know, people say Canelo was on the up and up. And I want to make a very important point here. Y'all used to make excuses how Floyd beat Canelo. He beat Canelo when Canelo wasn't experienced. Right? Nevertheless, Canelo had 40-something fights. And y'all said that Canelo got better and all this shit. And he did, to some degree. You know, and then y'all said that, you know, when Canelo got beaten by Bivol, it was because of size. Y'all said Bivol was bigger than him. Y'all was making excuses, right? RJ Jenkins says Crawford is the best. I made some good money on this fight. And shout out to you, brother. But what Crawford showed y'all, and I've been saying this for the longest while, y'all like to say that Canelo has slow feet. He does not have slow feet. He doesn't have slow feet. Don't stop that stuff. He's explosive. He's quick. He's more flat-footed. I'll give you that. He's more flat-footed, but he's quick. He's cat-like. He's quick. Okay? That's not the problem with Canelo. And I always said it. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it one more time. James Toney had the same problem. Canelo don't have proper foot cardio. I've said it over and over again. Canelo can't move his feet rapidly for a long duration of time. He can fight in spurts in that respect. But he's not a guy who's going to be moving all around the ring. When he did what he did with Gennady Golovkin, you notice his feet wasn't moving that quick. Wasn't moving quick all around. He was taking his time, moving on his toes. The first fight, bouncing around the ring, using his upper body movement, right? And he was light on his feet, but he wasn't moving exceptionally quick because it takes energy to do that. You got to be super relaxed to do that. Whereas Crawford, his foot activity is way more than Canelo's foot activity. And that's something you cannot learn overnight, ladies and gentlemen. RJ Jenkins says, Canelo said Crawford was better than Mayweather, but had no catch weight. Charlo tried and failed. So I'm going to put it this way, RJ Jenkins. I've said this before. I'm very consistent about what I say about fighters. If Floyd Mayweather had fought Terrence Crawford would beat Floyd Mayweather. And we all know Bud is a huge Mayweather fan, right? Terrence Crawford and Shakur Stevenson, they're huge Mayweather fans. They're also huge Canelo fans. Crawford's a huge Canelo fan, right? And you saw how he beat Canelo. And I believe he would have to go through a couple more gears against Floyd. But the fact that he can switch hit and he can go from one stance to the next and tag you up and catch you with angles, I don't see Mayweather beating Terrence Crawford. But it would be a hell of a fight. It'd be an interesting fight because Floyd would make adjustments. But I think the Terrence Crawford is the next level. Every generation's the next level. I've told people, I'll say it again. I do not apologize. Floyd Mayweather would beat Sugar Ray Leonard. I don't care what y'all say. Floyd Mayweather would beat Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard would beat Sugar Ray Robinson. And some people say that's sacrilege. No, it's not sacrilege. Boxing is knowledge. And knowledge is such that it's very rare that the young buck doesn't beat the old bull. In the case of Canelo, he wasn't able to beat the old bull. Floyd was 36 years old when Canelo fought him. Right? And they said experience was the key. Okay. Well, didn't Canelo have all that experience? He's 35 years old. Bud is 37 years old, going on 38. What's the excuse now? It ain't experience. It ain't weight class, because Bud is in the same weight class as you. Your best weight class, according to all those pundits out there. It wasn't like Canelo performed bad, right? Canelo, to me, he actually did better than I ever seen him in recent times. He performed better. So what was the thing that was his demise? His feet. His demise was his feet. Floyd was able to beat Canelo because Canelo couldn't keep up with him foot-wise. Or Floyd was using a lot of pivots. He didn't have to go all over the ring. He didn't have to run all over the ring like Erislandy Lara was doing unnecessarily. Just as how Terrence Crawford didn't have to move all around the ring unnecessarily. Just as how Dimitri Bivol didn't have to move all around the ring necessarily. Even Caleb Plant didn't move all around the ring unnecessarily. The difference was Canelo was able to hyperextend Plant's hand every time he tried to throw a jab, and he would whack him in the spleen. So he was sucking energy out of Plant, and then he started hitting him with some good body shots, and he was able to slow down Plant. Couldn't do that with Terrence Crawford because Terrence Crawford when Canelo tried to get under him to jab, so Canelo was trying to jab from low to high, right? He dip under him like this and jab out here. When he dip, Terrence would dip with him. Kind of like what Pacquiao was trying to do with Mayweather. You know, Pacquiao was trying to get in. So if I'm here, you are jabbing over me. So I don't know how this camera is. So unfortunately for us, I'm in the southpaw stance. All right, let me go orthodox, right? So if you jab here, right? What I do is I slip that jab and I throw my jab, right? And if I slip the jab, I get under it, right? I'm under it here, and I pop my jab on the inside of your jab. So I pop it right here. It's off at an angle. So because of that angle, I could catch you. And that's what Canelo wanted to do with Bud. But instead, what happened was, as Canelo did this, Bud also did this. Sort of like what Pacquiao do with Mayweather, right? When Pacquiao dipped, it's because Pacquiao want to come at Mayweather with maybe a left hand, or maybe he want to do something like this. He want to jab like that, right? But he's going to jab up, you see? And Mayweather, when he sees Pacquiao doing that, as Pacquiao goes down, Mayweather goes down, and he's pulling the trigger to throw that right hand. So it's called mirroring. When you mirror a guy, you make him think twice. You ain't got to do a whole set of thinking because you're just copying him. And when he sees the mirror image of himself, he's like, okay, I can't do that because he's ready to counter me, right? So it was that kind of game that was going on in there. It was real high playing chess, man. They were playing high playing chess there inside that ring. So is Crawford better than Mayweather? Well, if he ain't better than Mayweather, what the fuck? Okay. If he's not better than, sorry about that. If he's not better than Mayweather, then boxing is not evolving. Boxing is not getting better. He clearly is better than Mayweather. Okay. And he don't have the resume like Mayweather, but if he was to fight Mayweather, I think I had Bud. And Bud never goes into that. He never says he's better than Mayweather or anything like that. He's paying respect to those who paved the way for him, even give him advice, business advice, and all these other things. So in that respect, he's giving his respects to Floyd Mayweather. Of course, he thinks of Floyd as, sort of like a guy that paved the way for him. So he wouldn't just come out and say that. But if you look at his wins and you look at his fights with the available people, the available top tier people he has faced, he has been more dominant than Mayweather. And he's also, what's the word I'm looking for? Because he got that power. Mayweather had the power too. So I don't know. But I would say that he's doing these things in incredible ways. So you think about it. Mayweather fought Canelo when he was old. Bud fought Canelo when he's old. Bud's old. All right. He's going to be 38 next year. I'm sorry. He's going to be 38 in a couple of weeks' time. Right. So Bud's old. So, but yeah, boxing as a sport evolves. They're going to get better and better. They're going to get better and better. That's just what it is. I've always been a proponent for that boxing as a sport evolves. So yeah, you're going to move on to the next at some point. Crawford had Canelo frustrated. Bud said Mayweather was better in his own era. Mayweather was the best. He was the GOAT of his era. He was the best. He was the best of his era. Crawford firmly believes that, Crawford operates under the same principles as Floyd Mayweather operated on, working hard and, making sure you every single thing you could possibly cover, you cover. Preparation, it's all about preparation. That's what forms the mindset. That's what made Crawford so confident. He didn't have to do also the showboating and all that. He was just confident because he knew he prepared very well for this fight. So they have a lot in common, Mayweather and Crawford, in terms of attitude, not in terms of fighting style. Crawford does fight differently to Floyd. He's not as twitchy, he's not as quick, but he's got great timing. He's got this rubberiness about him. I always keep on saying Crawford's very rubbery. Like he could be sharp and straight, just like Floyd. He could be snappy and sharp, or he could be rubbery and just whipping punches and just generating that power. You know what I'm saying? So, Bud he's a different beast, man. He's a different beast, you know. And Bud, Bud is starting off. This is the Bud era now. Bud's the cash cow. He gets to call how much money. He's the dominant king. He just took it from the king. The king of boxing was Canelo. Canelo was the face of boxing. Y'all could say what you want. Canelo was the guy because he was demanding the money. The big fights, the big money fights, nobody. Jake Paul, none of them could command the kind of dollars that Canelo had. And Canelo will continue to command the dollars, but he won't be any more the cash cow as Terrence Crawford will be now. Terrence Crawford's not going to take that mantle. He took that mantle off of Canelo. And hopefully he fights a couple more fights and gets some money, man. I know he's old, but he keep his body in good shape. And I don't see nobody beating Crawford. I don't see nobody beating Crawford. Nobody beats Crawford, man. And nobody beat Mayweather, and nobody's beating Crawford. And again, a lot of people say, Mayweather picked his fights and blah, blah. Listen, man, even if you cherry pick, look, Canelo, y'all can say Canelo cherry picked this fight because Crawford was a smaller guy. He didn't cherry pick it, but I'm just saying, right? Y'all could say that about Canelo, but it ain't true. Canelo knew Crawford was the goods. Canelo knew. Did you hear what Canelo said? Canelo admitted Crawford was just better in everything. He admitted that. RJ Jenkins says Bud spoiled the money for Canelo. Turkey gave $150 million to Canelo for a 3-fight deal. And now he ain't spoiled nothing for Canelo, my friend. Nothing, one damn thing. Canelo's that dude. Canelo's always gonna rake in money. He have a huge fan base behind him. It's not like Canelo fought bad. That's what y'all have to understand. Now, if Bud had somehow knocked down Canelo or knocked him out, no, he didn't. He didn't do that. He frustrated Canelo. He buzzed him a little bit. He stung him a little bit. But he didn't really humiliate Canelo or anything like that. It was a chess match, and even though Canelo was losing rounds, I had Bud up 9-3. Okay, I thought Canelo won 3 rounds out of the whole fight. But to say that Canelo lost respect off of this fight, no. And the fact that he took the fight, I got mad respect for him. He took the best possible fight he could take because Bud was pound for pound #1 fighter in the world. I don't care what other people say. Bud was pound for pound #1 fighter in the world. You see that little guy called R.I.P? He can't fuck with Bud. He can't fuck with Bud. If Bud had to, if they could have been in the same weight class, Bud done fuck his ass up. He'll fuck up his little ass. All right. So I like R.I.P. I like Alexander Usyk, but Alexander Usyk know what it is. Alexander Usyk say over and over again, Bud is pound for pound the best fighter in the world. It's just what it is. The best fighter in the world is Bud. How come Usyk know that? Usyk know that. Usyk knows boxing, man. Usyk knows boxing. And y'all will say, well, Usyk beat Tyson Fury, and that was a guy much bigger than him, and blah, 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 blah. And I would say, cool. But remember, though Tyson Fury's a heavyweight, he don't got the kind of resume, he don't have the kind of cachet, he don't get the kind of money that Canelo was getting. You see, you got to look at the all-around package. When you talk about a pound-for-pound fighter, that the cash cow in boxing, that's the #1 guy in boxing. When you say boxing, this is the guy's face that comes up. Tyson Fury was a guy for a moment. He was a guy for a moment. Canelo was the guy for a decade. For a decade. Tank came up on the scene just recently. You know what I'm saying? Tank came on the scene just recently, but Canelo was the guy. Let's not front it. Who was getting most of the money in boxing? Canelo. Okay, so let's kind of Golden Boy did a great job with Canelo, by the way, and Oscar De La Hoya knows the formula to be the Golden Boy kind of thing. Canelo's like the Golden Boy 2.0. And Canelo could go on to fight David Benavidez, whoop his ass. And show everybody, I'm just a different guy, but I'm just saying, because David Benavidez has an interesting style. that would clash with Canelo, and it's a style I think that Canelo can beat. I've said it to you guys. There's very few guys out there in boxing that can beat Canelo. I said Bevo. I didn't even question it. I was like, Bevo's gonna beat Canelo, right? I thought Caleb Plant would beat Canelo because Caleb Plant has almost everything, but he don't have experience. So when he got knocked down, he didn't know what to do. He don't have the experience. And yes, Canelo was beating his body up, but I thought he was gonna beat Canelo. Terrence Crawford, I didn't have that. As I heard Terrence Crawford was fighting Canelo, I knew Terrence Crawford was going to beat Canelo. I knew it. The mindset of Terrence Crawford, the preparation, this is a no-brainer for me. All right? I predicted that Bevo would beat Canelo. I predicted that Terrence Crawford would beat Canelo. I predicted that Teofimo, I explained to you how Teofimo would beat Vasily Lomachenko. There was another little guy that it was all touting above Terrence Crawford. They had a lot of fighters that were touting above Terrence Crawford. Let me tell you something. The industry didn't like Canelo, and the industry didn't like Terrence. What do I mean by this? They denied Canelo pound for pound number one status after he beat Gennady Golovkin. And Gennady Golovkin was pound for pound number one when he drew it Golovkin. And you have to understand, Canelo's coming up from 154 to fight Golovkin at 160. Canelo was saying he wasn't ready. They still forced his hand. He went up and he fought him. RJ Jenkins says, Ricky Hatton died. Yes, bro. He died the same day Terrence Crawford. They found him dead the same day Terrence Crawford won the championship yesterday. So R.I.P. to Ricky Hatton. This really hurts me a lot because he wasn't very old. He was only 47 years of age. I'm 50 years of age. Ricky Hatton ain't old. So it was a shocker. They found him partially decomposed, actually. And R.I.P. to that brother, man. R.I.P. to that brother. R.I.P. to his son, Ricky Hatton Jr. What Hatton is he? His son's name is something Hatton. Campbell Hatton? Is it Campbell Hatton? So, I'm feeling for him. I don't want to stay too long on this, but I just want to say that Terrence Crawford's got the world at his disposal now. 2-3 more fights, maybe $100 million per fight, $200 million in the bank, and right off into the sunset, man. Right off into the sunset, undefeated, because he's going to be undefeated when all is said and done. Terrence Crawford prepares too fucking hard, and his preparation is so good. And once he doesn't lapse, and once he puts God first, this brother's gonna kill it. He gonna kill it. Ain't nobody could beat Terrence Crawford in boxing right now. If you line them up and they was the same, around about the same size, Terrence Crawford whooped their ass, and that includes Usyk. He'd beat Usyk too. Usyk know that. Right? The best boxer in the world is Terrence Crawford. And I'm glad he went up and fought Canelo, because everybody's saying, Canelo. Well, y'all said size would be an issue, and it's not. It never was. Y'all said that y'all basing it off of Jermell Charlo, how Canelo beat Jermell Charlo. But like I said, Crawford done prepared for Canelo. He had the time to prepare for him and everything. And he started gunning at him. You know what I'm saying? And the difference between Crawford and Charlo, that I don't know why a lot of you guys don't get it. Charlo had no experience in fighting in higher weight classes. He had never done it before, so he didn't know the process to do it. Crawford had that experience since going from lightweight to super lightweight to welterweight to super welterweight. He had that experience. He knew what it was like to go up in weight and to make sure that you lose weight properly, as well as, you put on muscle to strengthen you and brace you. RJ Jenkins says, "Amen. Always put God first. Bud will go back down to 154 or retire." I don't think he's going to go to 154. That's not happening. In fact, in an interview, when they asked him if he would fight Boots Ennis at 154, he said that's never going to happen. I could see him going down maybe to 160, possibly. But he looked good, and he filled out well for 168. Why doesn't he just stay at 168 and fight? Whatever the fight will be, it has to be a good fight. If Boots want to come up to 160 or 168 and fight Crawford, fine. That's the only way you're probably gonna get that fight. You know what I'm saying? And that might be it could be Crawford's last fight if y'all want it like that. But Crawford ain't fighting when he's 40 years old. That ain't happening. He got probably this last year here, and that's it. You need to get out the sport because, when you get past 38, 39, 40, you're not the same. You're not the same. RJ Jenkins says too many big fighters at 168. What I mean, though? What I mean? How do you mean too many big fighters at 160? What that mean? He just beat the 168 champion. I've been beating all those big fighters. What are you talking about? What I mean? You got to make it make sense. You got Caleb Plant up there. You got Demetrius Andrade up there. You got who else we got? Who else we got up there? I think Jamal Charlo's up there. Maul's there. He can fight Maul. You know what I'm saying? He was going to fight Mel, so I can't fight Maul. Maul's there. So, they got some fights there. If you want to do it, at 168, you got Maul there, Jamal Charlo. You got Caleb Plant, who's got some buzz behind him because he fought Canelo. You got who did I say? Demetrius Andrade up there. These are all good fights. And all of them are cerebral boxers, it's gonna be a good fight. Yeah, you got some talent up there. I mean, to go down to 154, that means losing muscle mass. That's crazy. I wouldn't do something stupid like that. I just wouldn't. Maybe 160, or maybe I'll go down one weight class, dry myself out a little bit. Because he feel good at 168. Why would I? He's 30. Oh, he's almost 38 years old. Why would a 38-year-old man try and dry himself out to go back down? That's stupid. For who? Who's worth it? Who's worth the money to do that? No, man. His health is important. RJ Jenkins says he was taller than Canelo and he had the reach. Yeah, of course, all of those things play a factor, of course. Why wouldn't you use your reach? Mayweather had more reach than Pacquiao, and he used it. I mean, you got the attributes, you use it, right? So, say what you want. That's how I go. But I'm just saying, I don't think Crawford should go back down. I think that could kill fighters. Go down in weight. You at 168. You feeling good at 168. You stay there. Anybody who want to fight you and they really serious, come up to 168 and fight me. I just came to 168. So if you really want to, if Boots really wanted to smoke, then do what Crawford did. Jump up to 168, like how Crawford jumped up to 168 to fight Canelo. Jump up to 168 and fight Crawford. You know what I'm saying? If y'all really want to see the Crawford versus Boots fight, because Crawford's an old guy. It don't make no sense for him to dry out himself going down to 154 to face Boots. That make no fucking sense. If Boots wanted to come to get Crawford, go up to 168 and fight him. Otherwise, never the twain will meet. And I'm sorry. I know y'all want to see that fight, but it don't make money. It don't make sense. Crawford's about to retire. He probably have one more year in the business. So why the hell am I going to strain my body, damage my body to make a fight with a young buck who can't bring no money to me? You know what I'm saying? That fight don't make no money sense. What this young buck accomplished? Nothing really. He become a welterweight champion, but that's about it. You got to make it make sense. I just came off of fighting one of the greatest fighters of my era. I'm going to fight a young buck who ain't really done much. Ain't really fought nobody. How am I going to get all this money? Okay, because we're going to sell that he's young and he's just like Terrence Crawford. He's a switch hitter and we're going to sell the fight that way. I mean, it got to make some kind of sense. You know what I'm saying? It got to make business sense. Crawford trying to aspire to go upward. He trying to make history. You see what I'm saying? He in the driver's seat now. He the cash cow. If he the cash cow, come meet the cash cow. If you really want to fight him, go up to 168 and fight him. He the cash guy. He called the shots now. You see what I'm saying? RJ Jenkins says the other fighters at the weight, he will not have that advantage. Advantage of what? Reach and stuff? Bro. Bro. He a 168 pounder now. And he proved it. Some of those guys you talking about, Canelo beat their ass. And Canelo had a shorter reach than them. He was shorter than them. And he beat them. So you telling me if Canelo could beat them, Crawford can't beat them? That's what you trying to say? Styles make fights or something? I don't understand. I'm trying to understand you. Why do you feel that reach is everything in boxing? You don't think that Crawford is a multi-dimensional fighter who can get on the inside? You saw him in fight with Canelo. Who was winning the exchanges in the in-fight? Wasn't it not Crawford? So why he can't beat them guys at 168? Who at 168 you see beating Crawford? Tell me, who you think at 168 beats Crawford? David Benavidez is not there. He's at 175. Think about it. Who at 168 you think will beat Terrence Crawford? Demetrius Andrade? You think he's a threat to Crawford? You think Crawford should give him a shot? Who else? Caleb Plant? Caleb Plant ain't beating Crawford. Caleb Plant's not beating Crawford. I can tell you that right now. He ain't beating Crawford. He's a good fighter, but he ain't beating Crawford. Who else you got? Who else you got? You got Andrade. You got Jamal Charlo. Jamal Charlo ain't beating Crawford either. I'd love to see it, though. Crawford versus one of the Charlos. I would love to see that. Jamal don't have what it takes to beat a Crawford. So what are you really saying? You saying other fighters at that weight, he will not have that advantage of the reach and the height? So what? So what? He just fight different. Y'all forget that the African dude who Crawford fought at super lightweight to get the 2 titles, the WBA and the IBF. That guy was longer than Crawford. He was taller than Crawford. So what? Still knock his ass out in the 3rd round. Height don't mean shit. It's how you use it. You know? It's how you use it. You know? So, you know who else? David Benavidez's brother, Jose Benavidez, fought Crawford. He had a longer reach than Crawford. He had skills. You know what I'm saying? And Crawford knocked his ass out in the 12th round. The dude that knocked out Berlanga. Yeah, what about him? What about him? What about him? He ain't gonna do shit. He can't do shit to Crawford. He can't do shit to Crawford. He can't do shit to Crawford. Berlanga. Who's Berlanga? Who's Berlanga? I don't mean to disrespect Berlanga. Berlanga's a decent fighter. But you don't think Crawford would knock out Berlanga? I mean, really? Who's Berlanga? No disrespect to Berlanga. His reach is too much. Bro, it had nothing to do with reach. Crawford can fight on the inside, mid-range, and he also can fight on the outside, and he always wins the trades. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, Berlanga is too fucking slow for Crawford. The other guy that knocked out Berlanga is too fucking slow for Crawford. The reason why Canelo could beat all these guys is because he's quicker. He could close the distance faster. If Crawford could match Canelo's speed and explosiveness, Crawford beats all these guys. He got the quickness advantage on them. He got better footwork than them. Well, like I said, the guys I'm talking about that would give Crawford problems, or a little bit of problems at least, is Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andrade, for sure, right? Jamal Charlo might give him a little problems because all those guys I just mentioned, their footwork. See, we talking about size and all this shit and you know, punch and power and who knock out who. That sound good. That really sound good. But we all know boxing starts with your feet, right? Number 1 defensive weapon is your foot, your feet. how you can move those things. Crawford got that. He boxed rings around some of them guys. David Benavidez versus Crawford. David Benavidez got good feet. He got good feet. You know, he throw a lot of combinations. You know what I'm saying? He can box on the back foot. He can box on the front foot. He being tested. You know? So a fight with Benavidez and Crawford would be an interesting fight. I'm not going to lie to you. That's where size can play a role. RJ Jenkins says, Bud will relinquish all the belts and Berlanga will be world champion for the first time. We'll see. I don't know. You want Canelo tap that ass again and knock him out again? Canelo will finish that dude. Y'all tripping. Canelo is a bad motherfucker, man. Canelo's a bad motherfucker. Y'all tripping. There are only certain kinds of fighters that can exploit Canelo. Really exploit him. You know, you have to be, you know, you got to have years of experience in doing what Bud did. Bud made it look easy, but it ain't easy. It's like, okay, Floyd made it look easy, right? When he beat Canelo. Who else made it look easy like that? Don't tell me Erislandy Lara. That was a close fight. He didn't make it look easy. Cotto didn't make it look easy. Gennady Golovkin, big old power in both hands, didn't make it look easy. Right? Who made it look easy? Bivol? That's the only other guy. And Bivol's a special guy. Bivol beat Artur Beterbiev twice. Twice. They didn't give him credit for the first fight. He beat him twice. Okay, if we're being honest out here. All right? He's a special fighter. That's a special guy. Right? It take a special guy to beat Canelo. You not any old guy off the street's gonna beat Canelo. You know, that's what people don't understand, man. People say Oscar was a better fighter than Canelo. Fuck out of here. Hell no. If Oscar was ever to fight Canelo would have knocked his ass out. I said it. I mean it. And Oscar had a hell of a chin, but Oscar ain't ready for Canelo. Canelo's smarter than there. He's a smart fighter. All right? He's a Mexican James fucking Toney. That's what y'all watching. Y'all don't realize it, but that's what you're watching. But we all know if Michael Nunn was to rematch James Toney and they were in their primes, Michael Nunn would have beat James Toney ass. It wouldn't end up the way I would end up. Michael Nunn got reckless. Because James Toney can be outboxed. We've seen it multiple times. Sam Peters. We had that kid, what's his name, from Chicago, who fought Roy and somehow got the championship from Roy for disqualification. What's his name? Y'all know who his name is. Okay. He beat James Toney twice. Okay. James Toney almost knocked his ass out, but he beat James Toney twice. Okay. Because James Toney and Canelo Alvarez, they just don't like fighting outside the pocket. They don't like it. That's not their thing. Their thing is fighting in the pocket. They like pocket fighting. They like you to come to them. They don't like to go get you. Okay? And James Toney go get guys too. That's the brand of fighter you watching at. Canelo Alvarez is that. He got some more wrinkles. He's very, very systematic in how he breaks down fighters. He's more systematic than James Toney. James Toney was more skilled. Not more skilled, sorry. He had more gifting. You know, the way how he naturally did certain things. And he was taught certain things, but he also added his little funk, his little style, his little flair to it. Canelo's more bland. But Canelo's like James Toney. You know, Roy Jones Jr. said the best fight I ever faced was James Toney. And I'm pretty sure Terrence Crawford will tell you the best fight he's ever faced is Canelo. He will tell you that hands down. In terms of IQ, you know, smarts. If y'all tripping about Canelo, I'm going to tell y'all right now, Canelo's not, he's not a piece of cake. Crawford made it look like that, but a lot of shit was going on in that ring. And, you know, I must break down the nuance of these fights. You know, y'all, the beauty of boxing, man. That fight was something, you know, like, so I'm going to just say this. The difference between Caleb Plant and Canelo with Crawford. Plant tried to come in to clinch Canelo, and he didn't know Crawford have a better clinching game than Plant. So Crawford knows how to not clinch, sorry, lock, tie up game. So Crawford would slide in on you off of an angle, right? Of course, he was southpaw, so that also made a difference. But he would slide in off of you by going under you and bumping you. Did you see how clever Crawford was with bumping Canelo off with the shoulder and then coming back with the right hand up the center and catching Canelo up the center? And then how he would bait him in, how he would bait him in with certain shots and then come back with another shot and catch him. You see all these subtleties in there. He's setting them up. Crawford was setting him up with certain shots. So you come with this, you tap, like you see that jab he was using where he was tapping him. He was just tapping him in the face, just tapping him. And then he started tapping him like this. He started doing that to him. Do you know how that messes with that guy? When I can catch you, I'm showing you, hey man, I can tap you here. I can tap you here. I could tap you with my backhand and my lead hand there. I'm just telling you, I'm just letting you know I can touch you. That's all he's playing mind games with Canelo. The mind games that was going on there. It was just so cool. Crawford wrestling background helped him. Yeah. Sliding in, how we go from low to high, slide in, clinch you up with one hand and run punches up the middle with the other. Just not really clinch you, tie you up, meaning he kind of tie you up there with one hand, but he's, tying up is not clinching, by the way. That's where you kind of luck hands and you kind of have the other guy. So that particular hand can't move, but you're moving your hand at the same time and not really locking him down. You're not really grabbing the hand. So you just kind of have a hand in the way to keep that hand. So you ain't doing nothing with that hand. You understand what I'm saying? But it's only for a brief moment in time to tread the needle with a shot so that he can't react. He can't come back at you with a shot, So there was a lot of control they were doing in there. He was checking Canelo. He was controlling him. He was framing him. He was doing all kinds of shit in there. And Canelo, when he realized that Canelo would make the adjustment by either varying range or he would try to get a situation where he could get his shots off. And when Canelo started to get his shots off, Bud would look to counter him, and he would always end the exchange. He would always get the last shot in the exchange. So, Canelo was outplayed. He was outplayed, and he knew that. He knew he was outplayed. He tried all kinds of things on Bud, and Bud was equal to the task. It was a very, very smart game they was playing with each other. So it's a high level of boxing that guys like, Plant don't know nothing about that shit. There's a lot of veteran moves they were making in there, like I love my boy Ennis, but my boy Ennis, he ain't ready for Crawford. Crawford's a veteran. The kind of veteran shit that Crawford was pulling on Canelo, what Canelo was pulling on Crawford, he not ready for Crawford. He not even ready for Canelo. He not ready for Canelo. Canelo got some veteran shit he be doing. He not ready for Canelo. You know what I'm saying? He young. He's a young buck. But by sparring Canelo, he'd improve his game because, there's a lot of slick shit Canelo was pulling in there. But it backfired because when he thought he was setting up Crawford for something, Crawford was setting him up for something. You know what I'm saying? Because Crawford know what Canelo would be doing. So that's what was going on. Man, that is a high level chess match that was going on in there. But I always say Canelo just didn't have the equipment to really take advantage of certain situations. RJ Jenkins says Ennis is soft. Ennis want warm-up fights. Well, different people, different mentalities. I'm not going to say he's soft, but I think he needs to try and get a bigger fights. The bigger fights are going to be the fights which are more demanding. Step up and face Virgil Ortiz. That's his fight right there. They trying to build a fight. No, man, just fucking get to it. Fight Virgil. Let's see what comes out of that. You know what I'm saying? But Jerome Ennis, he been fighting, not really big name fighters, and then after that fight with what's the kid's name? I forgot what his name is with the footwork and stuff. he been like Canelo. He be the saying, I want this kind of fighter or that kind of fight. You can't do that shit, man. You got to try and get past that threshold. If you got to fight that guy a third time, fight him a third time, because you want to get to the next level. And if you keep on not being able to get to the next level, you know what I'm saying? That's why I think Canelo should also rematch Terrence Crawford, because yes, Crawford probably beat him more, but I'm just saying that to get to the next level, to solve the puzzle, you got to go back into the fire. You got to test yourself again, see if you could do better. I think of Shane Mosley versus Winky Wright. The first fight, Shane Mosley lost, right? Winky Wright was just dominating his ass. The second fight, he tried harder, and even though he lost the fight, he improved. He fought better. I would say that Canelo fought better against Crawford than I've seen him in a while fight. He actually was brilliant in there. It's just that Crawford was the better fighter, period. But Canelo lifted his game, even his foot movement and stuff, and his cardio. As frustrated as he was, his cardio was pretty good. He wasn't tired. He faded a little bit, but he didn't tire that much. You know what I mean? And maybe it's because the fight was a pace where he could still kind of manage and maneuver himself. But Canelo, he's a hell of a fighter, man. Even in his loss to Dimitri Bivol, look at his defense. Look at Canelo's defense. That ain't no joke defense, man. There's a reason why people can't knock out Canelo. And people say he have a hell of a chin. No, man, he riding them punches. He know how to ride a punch. He know how to read and ride a punch. He and Gennady Golovkin. That's why he can't knock out Canelo. You ain't knock. Good luck on that. Good luck on trying to knock out Canelo. You know what I'm saying? He ain't going to get knocked out. He got defense. Canelo got defense. So very impressive performance by Canelo, just overshadowed by the majestic, tremendously, as my boy Aki Sports TV say, Super Saiyan performance by Crawford. It's not that Canelo didn't do great. He did great, but Crawford did magnificent. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at it. Now, with respect to Crawford and Floyd Mayweather, okay, who's to be put on the Mount Rushmore of boxing? Here's the problem, right? Mayweather fought more great fighters than Crawford did, but the wins that Crawford had, to me, are more significant. Them two wins against Errol Spence and against Canelo were more significant performances, I believe, than what Mayweather did later on in his career. More significant, not more dominant, because Mayweather dominated, but more significant performances. I thought that Crawford and Mayweather both faced Canelo. Crawford was older than Mayweather when he fought Canelo and put on what I think is a more dominant, complete performance, even though the scorecards don't reflect that. And, the judging in Las Vegas, good God. But I thought he engaged with Canelo. I mean, Floyd engaged with Canelo too. He didn't really run, Floyd fought more in the pocket with Canelo, actually. But I thought that Crawford all around was more dominant against Canelo. And then the thing about it is, this is a seasoned Canelo versus supposedly not as seasoned a Canelo. So this Canelo that Crawford faced, I would say clearly had much more chess moves and much more savvy to him than the younger Canelo that faced Floyd. I mean, the younger Canelo that faced Floyd learned a lot about the game, and that's why Canelo dominated the game for so long. And, the thing about it is, I'm going to say this. If Terrence Bud Crawford had the opportunity to face Manny Pacquiao back when he was at super lightweight, when Manny Pacquiao, instead of facing Terrence at welterweight for his WBO title, where Terrence would have to move up in weight to face Manny Pacquiao. If he had that opportunity, I'm gonna be straight up honest with you guys. Bud would have knocked out Pacquiao. He would have knocked his ass out. Okay, he never got the opportunity. He didn't get the opportunity till very late to face Errol Spence, and we saw what he did to Errol. So Terrence Bud Crawford, he never had the opportunities that Floyd had to face the great fighters. All the fighters was kind of like ducking and dodging his ass. They didn't want no smoke with him, and it just all goes to show you how good he was. And unfortunately, he finally got his opportunity to showcase what he really was about in this fight. And I mean, the dude, I understand now why Timothy Bradley went nuts over this dude. He was like, this dude is the second coming and all of this shit. So in terms of volume of accomplishments, Floyd is better than Crawford. In terms of signature wins against the best possible fighter you could ever have had, Floyd had his fight with Oscar De La Hoya. Again, I didn't think that fight was close. Floyd also moved up in weight against Oscar, outboxed him. Oscar started to tire late. But I think Bud's fight with Canelo was more impactful than Floyd's fight against Oscar. Of course, Oscar called all the shots, like in terms of the gloves and everything. But still, I think that if you ask me, which fight was more impactful and more dominant, I would say it would be Bud versus Canelo. R.G. Jenkins says Arum kept Pacquiao away from Bud. Oh, for sure. Arum knew. But again, Arum tried to keep Pacquiao away from Floyd as well. It wasn't just Bud. He didn't want Floyd to knock out Pacquiao. Remember, Floyd was supposed to face Pacquiao after he faced Marquez, right? He was supposed to fight Pacquiao in 2010. And had he fought Pacquiao in 2010, if Pacquiao had taken the blood and urine tests and stuff, I think he would have destroyed Pacquiao. I think he'd have knocked him out in 2010. I don't think he didn't knock out Pacquiao in 2015, but he definitely would have knocked him out in 2010, I think. And I think Bud would have destroyed Pacquiao. I don't think we would be talking about Pacquiao today had Bud fought Pacquiao. I think that would have been the end of Pacquiao's career, period. He'd R.I.P. him. So, and Bob Arum knew that. So he wasn't going to feed Pacquiao to Bud. Bud was going to destroy him. Jeff Horn beat him, but Bud would have destroyed him. You saw what Bud did to Jeff Horn. R.J. Jenkins said Bob Arum warned Errol Spence to stay away from Bud. Did you guys know that Bud said it? I know he said it a long time ago. He said he's always been sparring with bigger guys because if he tried to spar with smaller guys, he destroyed them. I remember Shakur Stevenson saying, "Man, I got in the ring with Bud and he kicked me, man. I mean, he brutalized my ass." Ooh, Bud's dangerous, man. He's been always dangerous. I think lots of people in the business have a healthy respect for Bud. I was listening to Abel Sanchez talk about how Canelo would knock out Bud and all this shit, and I was just listening to Abel Sanchez and just shaking my head saying, "Buddy, you seem to love being wrong." He seemed to love being wrong. I mean, come on, man. This Bud we talking about. I learned my lesson, I thought Sean Porter was going to give him a run for his money, and to some degree, Sean Porter did. But Bud was mostly in control of that fight, and he was laughing and stuff. And when they said he was behind on the cards, that brother just went into another gear and got Sean out of there. And Sean's father was like, you know what? They were saying Sean should go on. I think Sean's father, Kenny Porter, was like, nah, it was going to get ugly. It really was. Bud was too strong and too big for them smaller guys. That's why he jumped all the way up to 168 to get a decent fight with somebody who big enough to handle the power that he may have. And even then, Canelo was hesitant. After Bud lit up his ass, he ran right into a left hand. He'd get Bud on the ropes. And he ran right into that left hand. I saw Canelo do like this. Fuck no. I'm not just gonna run in on this dude. And then in the 11th round when Bud jabbed him and he took a step back. Canelo took a step back, shook his head. You said, this motherfucker different. Oh man, that was crazy. It had me laughing. Yeah. So, Terrence Bud Crawford, shout out to him. I thought Errol Spence would have, I thought the fight was going to be more competitive. And I thought, how is Bud going to win this? I remember saying, I don't really know how this fight going to go. I remember saying that because Bud showed, after the Sean Porter fight, I realized Bud was strong. He was big. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? I didn't realize Bud he's just big and strong. He's strong. Very, very strong. And he was fighting at the smaller weight classes when he could afford at higher weight classes already. You know what I'm saying? This dude fought at 168 and he was just fine. And that showed me that, yes, he had to put on muscle, but he was much bigger guy than I thought. He's big, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter even. These are big guys. That shrink down to these lower weights. But Sean Porter, I think, fought at 165 in the amateurs. So, Sean Porter was a big dude. He's, Bud never fought that high, but Bud's also big like him now. So that's why I said, y'all think that at 168, Bud can't take on these 168 pounders. I'm telling you, man, he definitely can take them on. He definitely can. Anyways, man, I spent an hour and 6 minutes here. I really wanted to talk about Ricky Hatton. I wanted to talk about Bud. Oh, by the way, shout out to and congratulations to the guy that beat Boachuk. What's his name? Something Adams. Yeah, man. I always like, what's his name? Brian Adams. I always like Brian Adams. Is Brian Adams? I think is his name. I always liked his style, man. His infighting skills and stuff. When he lost to John, whatever his name was, I was really shocked. I didn't expect him to get knocked out, but he got knocked out. But he a good fighter. Brandon Adams, I think is his name. Brandon Adams beat Boachuk, upset the Acro card. That was a great fight. And the undercard, I think there was 2 or 3 other fights, but I didn't watch them. Supposedly some good fighters against solid fighters on the undercard. I didn't really get the opportunity to watch those fights, but I'll say to you guys this, that, overall, it was a good night of fights, and boxing was represented very, very well. A lot of people are going home depressed because, they're Canelo fans, and they back Canelo. But I'm going to tell you something. Y'all should not be sad. Canelo, even though he lost, he held his own. He fought really well. It's just that Bud was better. R.J. Jenkins says he was on the Contender years ago. Yeah. R.J. Jenkins says Boachuk beat him twice. Yeah, I know. But Brandon Adams he's a different beast, man. I remember when he fought Charlo as well. I think it was Mal. Gave him a good fight, man. Brandon Adams, man. I love that guy. Anyways, guys, that's what I got for you guys. I am what you need. Hope you guys have a blessed day. The Most High put Terrence Crawford in that situation. Things panned out pretty good for him. I am so happy for him. And the man is on the Mount Rushmore of boxing. He's up there with Floyd Mayweather, Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson, Lennox Lewis. He's an all-time great. So is Canelo, actually. Canelo's an all-time great as well. In terms of Mexican boxing, you could argue that Canelo is the greatest Mexican boxer. And a lot of Mexican boxers will be like, well, Canelo should have pursued him and intensified and throw a whole bunch of shots and all that shit that you talking about. And bro, none of y'all Mexican fighters. We saw Marquez. He couldn't do shit with Floyd. We saw Julio Cesar Chavez. He couldn't do shit with Oscar De La Hoya. We saw Oscar De La Hoya. He couldn't do shit with Floyd. There are certain fighters that can neutralize all that aggression. You could throw 100 million punches. If you want to get knocked out, well, fine. You know what I'm saying? But you trying to be more aggressive and throw a lot of shit. Canelo's a smart fighter. All right. And me personally, I think Canelo's defense was on point as well. You know, Crawford wasn't landing all those shots like that. He was missing a lot of shots too. Um, it's just that, like I said before, Canelo, he tried to up the ante. He was throwing a lot of combinations coming down the stretch from the the 8th round all the way to the 12th round. He was throwing combinations. It's just that Crawford win the exchanges and blocked a lot of the shots and come back with shots. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Canelo didn't fight like a Mexican fighter. So anybody saying that, and I wanted to trash Canelo and say, oh, this and that, man, shut the fuck up. All right? Shut the fuck up. You know, Chavez couldn't do any better if he was to fight Terrence Crawford. He wasn't going to do better. In fact, he might have got his ass knocked out. That's what would have happened. He might have get slept, okay? Canelo knew what he was doing in there. And he knew he was outgunned, he was outplayed, and he still kept on trying. How many of y'all would have done that? You're getting your ass beat. You know you're getting your ass beat. But you keep on trying because you never know what could happen. Because against Caleb Plant was beating Canelo's ass. He was beating Canelo's ass. Canelo knocked his ass out, though. All right? He was dangerous from round 1 to round 12. Canelo was dangerous with Crawford, and Crawford was aware of that. Okay? It's just Crawford's a different beast. Ain't nobody beating Terrence Crawford. Nobody beat Terrence Crawford. Nobody beat Floyd Mayweather. That's just why it's going to go down in the history books. Nobody going to beat Andre Ward. It's just going to go down in the history books like that. It's what it is. A lot of people do not understand the kind of level of dedication, the kind of level of preparation, the kind of level of skill that has been developed and intelligence and IQ that these fighters have. That's what separates them from everybody else. There's a reason they're undefeated. It's not just they got this O and they're trying to protect it. Fuck out of here. You can't fight the best in your era and end up with an O without taking tremendous risk. But you prepare yourself. Your preparation's on point. That's why Floyd is what Floyd is. There's not a lot of Floyds in the world. The mentality, the attitude, the dedication, the application, that's what you have to have. You don't got this big set of life. You have to sacrifice a lot of things. And there are very few people in this world who have ever accomplished that. You know, people talk about Sugar Ray Robinson. They talk about Sugar Ray Leonard for a reason. Okay? There's those names that survive. Muhammad Ali for a reason. These are exceptions. The exceptional people that dedicated themselves to what they were doing in their era. And that's what Terrence Crawford did. Y'all can't say nothing about Andre Ward, but y'all going in on Floyd Mayweather. He may not be the personality that everybody like, but his dedication to the sport is unquestioned. Same thing for Andre Ward. Same thing for Terrence Crawford. You're watching a breed of fighter that was dedicated. Canelo too. Just he never worked on a certain part of his game. Canelo's dedicated. Man's fucking 35 years old, got money like up the wazoo. And this motherfucker's still dedicated, still trying to fight the best. And don't tell me Terrence Crawford wasn't the best. Or he was just a small guy moving up in weight. Well, if that's the case, then Canelo shouldn't have beaten Jermell Charlo. Because I predicted that Jermell Charlo should beat Canelo because styles make fights. And he lost. Right? He lost to Canelo. So we can't use that. It's not just he beat a small guy. He beat the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world. When Oscar De La Hoya lost to Floyd Mayweather, y'all wasn't giving Oscar flack. Because he lost to the best fighter in the world. How is there a downside to Canelo being beaten by the best fighter in the world? How's that a downside? You got to explain that to me. Who is beating Terrence Crawford? No, seriously. Who is beating Terrence Crawford? So where is there the shame in losing to Terrence Crawford? I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to understand how y'all, I'll see some sites talking about, oh, Canelo's not all that, and he ain't this, and he ain't that. No, he is that dude. He is that dude. Don't get it twisted. Ain't just anybody rolling up in there and beating Canelo. And that's what y'all don't understand. That motherfucker is bad. Canelo's a bad man. He's a bad man. There are only 3 fighters that ever beat Canelo. Dimitri Bivol, a protege from since he was a child. Since he know himself, he been boxing. Floyd Mayweather, same thing. Terrence Crawford, special. Okay? So that's 3 fighters. So if y'all think y'all have the blueprint to beat Canelo, good luck. He will whoop your ass. You can get an ass whooping. And anybody who feels that, a fighter could knock out Canelo, good luck on that. I told you he's the Mexican James Toney of boxing. Nobody knocked out James Toney. Nobody knocked out Canelo. The difference is nobody's even knocked down Canelo. That motherfucker never seen the canvas. Okay? Floyd touched the canvas with Zab Judah. Canelo's never seen the canvas. Now, y'all want to say he have a hell of a chin. Maybe. But I say he got defense. That motherfucker got defense. And y'all underestimating that motherfucker. Y'all highly underestimating Canelo Alvarez. The best Mexican fighter by none of this era. And the best Mexican fighter bar none of the last 20, 30 years. Okay? Now, Oscar's a great fighter. But Canelo would whoop his ass. Period. Oscar could box and shit. But I saw what happened with Oscar and Felix Trinidad, and the same thing would happen with Canelo. Canelo would whoop his ass. He would get an ass whooping. Okay? So I'm just saying. RJ Jenkins says Canelo has strong legs. Yeah, but he also got defense. Y'all think Canelo get hit flush with a whole bunch of shots. The jab, maybe. But this shit he do here. When he does this shit. Or when he does this shit. Or when he rolls a punch. Trying to hit his body and he still catch it here and roll. Right? You fake the body, you come up top with a hook, and he rides it. When you throw a straight shot, he snap back. He a fucking James Toney. He a Matrix. So you touch him, yeah, but he goes with the punch. Y'all say he have a strong chin. No, he got defense, motherfuckers. He got defense. Very rarely Canelo gets caught. He get caught flush, but very rarely does he run into a punch. And when he does, he backs up. You'll see Canelo back the fuck up because he actually got hit. He actually got stung. You see, he's a smart fighter. Y'all tripping. Okay, y'all tripping. He's a very smart fighter. I can show you so much shit that Canelo do in there. He a veteran fighter too, so he's really, really smart. And he's really, really tricky and sly. He got all that shit going on in there. That fight was a high-level fight. Y'all have no idea how high-level that fight was. And Crawford just matched him for IQ. He matched him IQ for IQ. Crawford know what he faced. He know what he saw in there. That's why he keep on giving Canelo his props. And he say he's a great fighter. His problem was his foot activity. His foot activity. That's his deficiency. And you have to come to him. And when he's pursuing you, he's going to do it. He's trying to steal distance from you. He tries to slide in and steal distance from you. He inching in on you. He tries to steal distance from you. Look at Crawford's stance. Crawford's stance was this, right? I'm going to do it from the side. Crawford was like this, right? So Crawford's leaning in. How's Canelo? Canelo's the opposite, right? Canelo's like this. He's leaned back and he's got his foot inching in, right? That's how their both stances were. And every now and then Crawford would do something a little tricky, like he would lean forward like this, but his foot's cinched in. So he leaned forward as if this is where I really am, but he's not really there. There's a lot of tricky little shit they were doing in there. I could go into all the details, how high level this fucking boxing is, right? These guys was fighting on another level, all right? They got all kinds of tricks up their sleeve. Pulling out tricks from the trick bag, and Canelo was trying to pull out these tricks from his trick bag and out trick Terrence. And Terrence was, you saw when Terrence caught Canelo with a shot and Canelo chuckled. He smiled. He said, "Oh, you got me, you little son of a bitch. I was setting you up." That's why he smiled. And when Crawford smiled back at him, it's because Crawford was trying to set a trap, and Canelo was smart enough to know not to go for that. So you gotta understand, it's high level shit in there. You know, these guys are smart guys, man. These guys are not just fighting. It's high level chess. Yeah. You know, y'all have no idea. Pacquiao versus Mayweather should have made y'all understand how tricky these guys are. They do a lot of tricky things. I'm not just going. I'm not just going to use my power and strength and rah you down. That's fucking shit, man. That's not boxing. These guys outsmart each other. They play all kinds of games in there. They try to get him to bite on certain shit. You know, that's what's going on. Now, Canelo's getting frustrated, but he's a smart guy. So even though he's frustrated, he's still setting traps. He's trying to outthink Crawford in a kind of way. I don't know how to say it. I'm saying outthink, but it's not really outthink. You know, these guys are automatically doing different things, automatically trying different things as they feel their way out. But I'm just saying that there's a lot of tricks was going on in there. Trickery. it's you know, man, that's what I love about boxing. That's actually the part of boxing I actually like. But things don't, what they appear to be is not what they are. And yeah, those two guys, top quality boxing. You saw the best of boxing last night. And people who don't understand boxing, I'm gonna break that fight down in time. I'm gonna break it down because that's like a Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, except higher. Where Pacquiao kept on repeating certain things, he hadn't gotten the memo. He was getting check hook a lot. Canelo's not that same kind of guy. Canelo's not gonna just come in there. You know, he was trying different things as he was trying to approach Crawford. So it was actually a higher level game than what Mayweather had to deal with Pacquiao. And Pacquiao's a high level chess player himself, but you have to give him the ideal conditions to do what he do. Whereas with Canelo changed up a couple things in that fight that I would like to show you guys, to show you how much he was a thinking fighter in there. He was trying to solve the puzzle. He just couldn't find the answer. But he tried all kinds of things in there. And that's why at the end of the fight, he admitted, yeah, Terrence Crawford better than me in every area. He's like, yeah, he was better. He's better than me in this. He knows the amount of stuff he tried in there. It was boxing, man. Anyway, I got to go, guys. I got to go sell and stuff and try and earn some income. If you guys want to donate to this channel, I will try to put my PayPal link in one of the videos. Maybe I'll put it in the comment section of this video. So if you guys want to donate to me, of course, this, as I said before, this video is sponsored by these products behind me here, L.I.V.E products. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going out to sell off some of these products as well as I do some deliveries. So I'm going to catch you guys later. I'm what you need. Peace.